Hello friends, welcome to my channel Study Made Easy. I am Roshan Shah and on this channel we cover all the subjects. And if you are new on our channel then please do like, subscribe and share it with your friends, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you do not miss on any other notifications. And just for your knowledge, we have made many previous videos, so if you want, please do visit them and please watch them completely because they contain a lot of information regarding ICSE class 10th examination. And in this video, we are going to start with English literature short stories and Angel in Disguise chapter. Some of the schools must have started this chapter, and now we are also going to start with this chapter. And we have made previous videos of A Face in a Dark and Old Man at the Bridge and The Cold Within chapters. So please do watch them also. And now we are going to start with the chapter An Angel in Disguise. So let's get started. The first line itself states, idleness, vice, and intemperance had done their miserable work. So, in the first line itself, there is a question arising that which three things had done which type of work and how. So, I would like to make a point here that in English literature, you should know each and every keyword. For example, idleness, vice, and intemperance had done their miserable work. These are the keywords. Idleness, vice, and intemperance had done their which type of work? Miserable work. How? As the dead mother lay cold and still amid her wretched children, she had fallen upon the threshold of her own door. So for that you have to write the full first para. For your knowledge, idleness means jobless. She didn't have any job. Vice means wicked or cruel, and intemperance means alcoholic. That is a very much bad habit, as we all know about it. So overall, you can figure out that which nature had mother had. So this line is also very important. Death touches the spring of humanity. You can connect this line in any of the answer of Angel in Disguise you write in boards or in your school or tuition's paper. So death touches the spring of humanity. This woman had been despised, scoffed at, and angrily denounced by nearly every man, woman, and child in village. So this means that the now from the first para we all know how the nature of the mother. So now that woman was criticized, laughed, and mocked by each and every person. Also considering the children, she was denounced completely. Means people used to stay away from her completely. But as the first line states, death touches the spring of humanity. So people coming to know about the death of the mother, they came and death was passed from lip to lip. That means each and every person were forwarding the message of death. Then in subdued tones, that means in very soft tones or sad tones. Pity took place of anger, मतलब दया दिखाई, गुस्से के बदले दया दिखाई, and sorrow of denunciation. उनको अंदर गिल्ट लगा कि we shouldn't have denounced her like this. The neighbors went hastily to old tumble down hut. So this gives us an idea about what type of place the three children and mother was staying. So, neighbors went hastily to old tumble-down hut, in which she had secured little more than a place of shelter for summer heats and winter cold, some with the grave clothes for decent interment of body. That means the neighbors went hastily to old tumble-down hut, which had a little more space for summer shades, heats and winter cold. मतलब टूटा फूटा घर था. Now, some with the grave clothes. कुछ neighbors सफेद कपड़ा रहता है ना वो लेके आए for graveyard to bury her, and some brought, and for children some neighbors brought food and new clothes. Then comes the description of three children. Now you all must be thinking, why didn't I give gist of this chapter first? So अगर मैं आपको पहले gist दूंगा ना पढ़ने का मजा नहीं आएगा उतना. वो gist मैं आपको बीच में दे दूंगा. प्लस मैंने आपको ऑथर के बारे में भी अभी तक कुछ नहीं बताया, वो मैं आपको एंड में बताऊंगा. ओके, ये पेज होने के बाद मैं आपको जस्ट बता दूंगा पूरा, क्योंकि फर्स्ट पेज इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. So half starving children were three in number. This means that there were three children. Out of this, John, the eldest boy, John was the first of all the children. He was 12 years old and a stout. What does stout mean? Stout means strong and short-heighted, and was quite fat. So he could able to earn for his living. Then comes Kate or Katie. You can call it anyway. As in textbook also they have given two different names, but they both are one person. Kate was between 10 to 11 years of age, and she might be bright and active girl, out of whom something clever could come if given in good hands. And the third was Maggie, poor little girl Maggie. Now, this is also a question, that why was Maggie called a poor little girl, the youngest and was the youngest. Poor little girl Maggie क्यों use किया गया? They can also ask you a question that give the description of all three children. So the story behind the poor little Maggie was that she was hopelessly diseased. That means this was the suspense. 2 years before, she had a fall from the window of a old tumble-down hut. Because of that, she had injured her spine, and injuring her spine, she became bedridden. So she was not able to move by herself. She needed to be lifted, and no one was ready to accept a hopelessly diseased child, because they had to look after her and no one wanted it. So the one man asked, what is to be done with the children? That was the chief question now. That was the most important question right now. The dead mother would go underground and be beyond all care or concern of villagers forever. She was under the graveyard, right? After considering the matter, there was a man called Farmer Jones. Now, Farmer Jones wanted John, so he took John for his own purpose, as he would help him in farming or any type of help. Now, all these people, everyone knows human nature. we all go for the things we get in free. Now he didn't wanted to any assistant, so he would give some part of his money. So he just took John that he would even help him, plus he would make profits, and he did not have to share his profit with anyone. So then comes Mrs. Ellis. I'm sorry, Mrs. Ellis. Now Mrs. Ellis wanted Kate, as she wanted a bound girl. You can call a maid or who, a servant. She wanted a servant. So she took Kate, and she showed as if she was doing a very great favor on people. And she gave a statement that it would be charitable in her to make choice of Katie, even though she was too young to be much use for several years. I could do much better, I know, said Mrs. Ellis, but no one seems inclined to take her. I must act from sense of duty. Expect to have trouble with the child, for she is an undisciplined thing. She doesn't even call Katy a child, she calls her a thing. Used to having her own way. She wanted a bound girl, and so she showed people that Katy was an undisciplined child and she would have trouble keeping her, but as if of charity, she's opting for Kate. Then no one was ready to accept Maggie. Now Maggie was alone. So one of the rough men said that what should be done to her. No, I mean everyone said that, but one of the rough men said that Maggie should be sent to poorhouse. Now poorhouse you can call as an orphanage. So in poorhouse, one of the men also said that poorhouse is not a good place for children to stay. So Ruffman again replied that for his or their children, but for this poor girl, it is a blessing as she would be taken care over there and given medicines time to time as she was diseased. I mean, hopelessly diseased as she was bedridden. So then everyone decides that she would be sent to poor house. Then again a twist takes place. Now I am going to give you a gist about the full story. Now what happens is, now when Maggie was sitting alone in the evening, a man comes and takes her to home. And that man's wife, I will not say name right now because I will reveal it afterwards. And that man's wife refuses to accept Maggie, and they both did not have any children. So, but the wife did not wanted to accept Maggie. So then his husband convinces her for some time, and then um his wife ultimately accepts Maggie and considers her as her child, and they both take care of her afterwards. So this is the whole story is revolving around, but now we will go through entire chapter. So now comes the yeah, okay. So Maggie, it was late evening now, and Maggie was sitting over in the her old tumble down hut. Then what takes place? The burial takes place, and as soon as the burial ends, Farmer Jones take away John, Mrs. Ellis take away Kate, and Maggie is left alone. So Maggie was now sitting sad and lonely in hut as she was missing her sister and brother. But Blacksmiths, John Thompson, Joe Thompson. Everybody goes away seeing Maggie, but one refrained to go away. Joe Thompson, a wheelwright, said to the blacksmith's wife, who was hastening with rest. So Joe Thompson was the name of that wheelwright. He was a wheelwright. His occupation was wheelwright, and said to blacksmith's wife, who was hastening off with the rest, "It's cruel thing to leave her so." That means that no one was ready to take Maggie, and he questioned that what is the reason behind it. Then, for a little, man stood with a puzzled air. He was very confused that should he go away or he should take Maggie along with him. Then, seeing Maggie, he couldn't resist himself from taking her as she was very innocent and quiet child, and he lifted her and took her to his home. Now, as soon as he reaches home and takes her in, his wife, Mrs. Thompson, Mrs. Thompson calls Maggie a sick brat, calls Maggie a sick brat. And when this happens, when he enters and Joe Thompson goes and keep Maggie in a bed. After coming, his wife Mrs. Thompson says that why had you taken this sick brat? Now, at first, you all may think that Mrs. Thompson has a very arrogant and wrong behavior, but no, they did not have a child, so her feelings and emotions for child had been suppressed for years. That is why she is being so harsh. At end, it is all because of Mrs. Thompson that Maggie stays with them forever. Then what happens? Then the exact terms over here are Joe Thompson's wife, who happened to be childless, was not a woman of saintly temper. Saintly temper. That means she was of a vinegar aspect. In other means, she was a very harsh. She was very harsh temper and short tempered. Then what happens is that Mrs. Thompson, after questioning that why had his husband brought her this way, now Joe Thompson easily says that in Bible Jesus Christ's disciples scolded the children who had came to offer a glass of water to Jesus Christ. So Jesus Christ scolded his assistants or disciples. Yeah, disciples is the exact word. Scolded his disciples that never to ignore the importance of children, and he says that even a glass of water given by a child should not be left alone. After giving this example, Mrs. Thompson agrees to keep Maggie for a night. Then Joe Thompson knew that what is going to happen, and he knew that his wife would accept Maggie. Then after knowing this, so he left. He left from the house, and he came. He worked until the dusk. That means till late evening, and returned home after dark. Then he came and saw a shining bright light coming out of Maggie's room. He understood, and when they both sat on lunch or dinner table, nobody took out the topic first. Then Mrs. Thompson, or now comes her name, Jane Thompson. Jane Thompson reveals this topic, and she says that Maggie can all that had he saw that had he talked to any guards for for sending Maggie to poor house. So he says, he lies. In fact, he lies to Mrs. Thompson that he is going to talk to guards tomorrow. I'm sorry, he has talked to guards and he have to take Maggie tomorrow. Then Mrs. Thompson on her own replies that it is not any haste. She can remain here as much as she wants. And I have just said you an important part of this chapter. The exactly words I'm going to tell you one important phrase. When first time the wheelwright or the Mr. Thompson brings Maggie on the bed, he asks him that whether she is feeling good, how was the dinner, and she quietly replies that she is feeling very comfortable in bed as she used to just lay down on floor or a broken bed at her old house. Then, after having such discussion, they go to sleep, and Maggie never ever goes to poor house again. I mean, after that, this was the all the story I said you. By this, we end our chapter Angel in Disguise over here. But now I am going to question you that how is the title Angel in Disguise relevant over here? And your answer should be that Maggie has proved to be an angel in life of Mr. and Mrs. Thompson by coming into their life and giving a childless couple a child. And Mr. Thompson, you can also tell that Mr. and Mrs. Thompson proved to be an angel in life of Maggie as she was not properly cared or uh, kept properly in her old house, whereas in this house she was given love, affection, everything a child wants. So this is all about the chapter in Angel in Disguise by T.S. Arthur. Now it's time to tell you some facts about the author. So, T.S. Arthur was a popular 19th century American writer. His stories written has compassion and sensitivity. He writes very emotional stories. His story Angel in Disguise describes an transformative and restorative power of selfless love and affection. This is all about another story I have said you, right? So I will give you some important advices. Go through your chapter once, read it completely because important things I have said you all. I have explained you the whole chapter, and according to me, just learn your workbook thoroughly. Your workbook is must. So with this, we end our chapter. An angel in disguise over here. So let's meet in another video. So till then, signing off for now. Thank you, and please, if you like our video, do subscribe, share it with your friends, and press the bell icon and like our video. Thank you.